Technology has forever changed modern warfare. And in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, the U.S. military is in high-tech overdrive, driven from an unimpressive and dusty place seemingly in the middle of nowhere. At its home base at MacDill in Tampa, Central Command headquarters is a rather imposing structure. Here in Doha, it is warehoused in warehouses. But it's what's inside that counts, of course. And inside is the most advanced telecommunications center I've ever seen. Here, American troops and civilians work side by side with coalition partners. This building monitors operations throughout Afghanistan and Iraq, on the ground and in the air.
We can put our Hellfires right where they need to be to avoid all kinds of collateral damage.
Captain Lance Brockman explained to me how they can attack the enemy precisely, thanks to satellite images or views transmitted back by unmanned aerial vehicles called Predators. The remote-controlled planes are flown by pilots on the ground.
We can give our feed that we see on the screen down to Army troops or Marine troops in contact through what we call a rover feed, so they can get an over-the-hill kind of look, less fog of war for our guys, so we have more terrorist capturing capability and life-saving capability.
Capabilities that U.S. troops are helping Afghan and Iraqi troops to gain so that the Americans can come home.
A 120-millimeter rocket fired at us happens about once every week or two.
Troops like Major Howard Hall, when not deployed, he reports to work at the Marine Corps Reserve Center on Gandhi Boulevard. I was embedded with Hall in Fallujah, site of the fiercest combat for the U.S. Marine Corps since Vietnam, and the place where 4 American contractors were ambushed and killed in March 2004. Their mutilated bodies left hanging from this bridge. Today, Fallujah is much calmer, and the job here for Hall and his men is teaching combat operations to the 2nd Brigade of the Iraqi Intervention Forces.
We're busy almost around the clock with our counterparts, training, coaching, mentoring. That's a full-time job.
Military trainers like Hall say the hardest lesson to teach Afghan and Iraqi troops, many of whom are military veterans of the previous regimes, is that now they may and should show initiative.
Independent actions, initiative, all these type of things that we thrive on, that was all punished in the former Army. So while we have some very skilled, very talented young officers and non-commissioned officers, they've never been given the authority to take action on their own, to make decisions, or even to make suggestions to senior officers. My favorite meal over here, kebabs.
It's a farewell feast, and the respect and camaraderie is obvious between Americans and Iraqis. Major Hall and his Marines are rotating back to the U.S., replaced by other American trainers. And while Hall and his men can't wait to get home,
have some fun? Of course.
Others serving in Afghanistan and Iraq are glad to grab a mini vacation back at Forward Command in Doha.
Our goal is to get them back into the fight, safe and sound out of here, and relaxed and ready to go.
Few can leave their deployment to come all the way home to the States for a vacation, but a 4-day stay in Qatar lets the troops breathe a little easier with all the modern conveniences of home and no MREs.
Breakfast of champions, Bob.
And that's not all. The theme here is treat them as heroes, and the troops get everything from movies and swimming pools, facials, and pedicures for the foot soldier.
It's just a time away from everything where you can just kick back and do nothing if you want. So.
Do you look forward to it?
Yeah, I needed it. It was a good rest.
A small escape from the realities of war before these men and women return to the front lines where the enemy vies for its next kill. Now we give you a rare look into this side of war stories. We have to warn you, some of the video you're about to see can be difficult to watch.
This is Zargona. She is about a 75-day-old little girl who on the 2nd day of life suffered 3rd-degree burns to her face and the top of her head.
The man hovering over the baby's bed is Dr. Arthur Chasen, the lead physician at Bagram Airfield Hospital. Here, American personnel treat not only injured U.S. servicemen and women, but also Afghans, free of charge. Baby Zargona would not be alive were it not for them.
Right now, her problem is severe scarring has scarred her mouth open and her eyes open. And at the same time, all the tissue off the top of her skull came off, so she's got a bare skull.
Down the hall is Setakula, A cooking accident left him with burns over 60% of his body. American military doctors have operated on him more than 20 times. They had to amputate his right leg and the fingers of his right hand. His father can't thank the Americans enough for saving his son's life. For Dr. Chasen, it's all about changing the perception the Afghans have about Americans.
You know, they're told we're the great Satan, and then they come in here and we save their little boy or their little girl and give it back to them, and it changes their mind.
The American troops have also changed the minds of 6-year-old Basira Jan and her dad. Basira's case has been adopted by Indiana and Florida National Guard troops at Camp Phoenix near Kabul. Major Courtney Callis of Venice is helping to send her to the United States for surgery.
She has a congenital heart defect, and she's going to have heart surgery once she gets to Indiana.
Callis says helping this little girl provides a special bond for the troops.
They see her picture and things like that, so they have that one little connection that ties her into the Florida Guard.
I work in here, I take them home to money. That's good. I like the American people. He hooked me up.
I met Mubarak at Bagram Airfield, where he is one of 19 Afghan boys under the wing of Command Sergeant Major Tim Green. The boys help the soldiers with little chores and proudly display their ID cards. The youngest of the bunch is 7, the oldest 15.
You see right now they're very polite, they've got manners, they're courteous, they're clean, they're educated. In the system over here, they can't heat the schools, so they take the winters off. But these kids need something to do instead of just hanging out at the front gate and getting in trouble. So we paid for 3 teachers at the boys' school and 3 at the girls' school.
These good kids, as they are called around the camp, now all have goals.
Doctor.
Really?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'll bet you're going to make it just fine, buddy.
Back at the Bagram Airfield Hospital, the future is looking brighter even for little Zagona, the severely burned baby girl. The troops here have adopted her and are sponsoring her on a journey to the United States for further treatment.
I'm very proud and gratified of the American soldiers that have really sort of stepped up to the plate to do what needs to be done for this little girl, you know, and not of, you know, they don't have to do these things.
Baby Zargona, the baby girl you just saw, was released from the hospital at Bagram Airfield in late November when she was 5.5 months old. Here she is in her father's arms as she left the hospital. Now she and her family are just waiting for a visa so that they can come to Shriners Hospital in Boston for follow-up surgeries in January. As for 10-year-old Sedekula, whose fingers and leg had to be amputated, he has also been discharged from the hospital. He was given a wheelchair for mobility, and he's expected to return soon for follow-up appointments with the doctor. Fallujah today is much calmer than it used to be. The locals now venture out on the streets, but the American troops on the ground know the enemy can be anywhere.
When we got here in February, the Marines still had an iron grip on the city.
Troops like Major Howard Hall, when not on deployment in Fallujah, he calls Pinellas County home. This Bay Area Marine, who's on his second tour of duty in Iraq, says insurgents have made some inroads in Fallujah recently.
There is some activity downtown, but overall, the civilians have done a great job of starting to clean up.
I embedded with Hall and his men in Fallujah. Out on patrol, the men and women serving here may carry over 100 pounds of equipment, including their armored vests and helmets.
3 Alpha, this is 5.
For nighttime convoys, visibility is key.
Why do we run at night versus the daytime?
Why do we run at night versus the daytime?
Yeah.
It's a little bit safer. Usually we see there's a few less IEDs at night.
IEDs, or improvised explosive devices, are the most likely threat to our troops. On this night, Hall and his men and the Iraqi troops they are training try to avoid IEDs at all cost as they escort a convoy through Fallujah. We head out at 10 p.m. and start the journey that soon comes to a halt at an unexpected roadblock.
That's where we need to go. 200 meters, we get on that overpass and go north.
Soon the convoy is on the move again. Major Hall is using a special global positioning system he first used in combat in 2003.
As we were moving around the battlefield, I could easily see who else was around me.
The equipment allows Hall to tap messages to other troops in the area, and it helps the Americans and the Iraqis to avoid friendly fire incidents.
It's the military version of what's been in a Lincoln Navigator for a while.
But no amount of equipment can guarantee the troops' safety, be it night or day. Besides bombs and booby traps, the enemy employs outrageous tactics, like giving children toy guns.
It's pretty cowardly that they're going to try and fight through kids. I mean, I understand they can't do the same soldier on soldier or tank on tank, but at least be a warrior and stand up and fight if that's what they truly believe in.
But there are positive moments as well.
We get a lot of kids like that. Usually on Thursdays we go out and try to give kids shoes, clothes, small toys, take stuff to their parents for the kids. Thursdays are a great day. We could go helping kids. That makes a big difference for us.
Then there's the rebuilding, like a local slaughterhouse in Fallujah. Not having one has been a big health threat for the community. And in Saddam Hussein's hometown of Tikrit, Americans are building a cold storage unit and more.
Once it's complete, the farmers will be able to bring their produce here, and they will be able to store it for, depending upon the kind of produce, weeks or months, and then they can control when they bring it to market.
There seems to be a lot of goodwill among the locals. At this store, the owner wouldn't accept our money.
Thank you, sir.
Hello. We're not going to win this war with bullets. We're going to win this war economics, governments, infrastructure. That's the way, we will win any war we go to because we're the U.S. military. It's the next phase of the operation where we need to turn it over to the Iraqis and let them take their country back.
Back on the night patrol, safeguarding the convoy through Fallujah, Tampa Marine Howard Hall and his men reach their destination safely. Another long and dangerous day comes to an end and moves the American troops a little closer to coming home. When will our forces be withdrawn from Iraq and Afghanistan? Right now, nobody can answer that question. But the troops I met both in Afghanistan and Iraq told me that while they're looking forward to the end of their tours, they're ready to stay till the job is done.